Namaste everyone, welcome back to Dr. Pai's Astrology channel. And today we have very lovely Kṣaṇāti back with us. Namaste, Kṣaṇāti.
Namaste, Navjeet. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so glad. We are here with our new series, which is going to be about transit analysis for coming up transits. I mean, already Saturn in Pisces, Rahu Ketu in Leo, Aquarius axis, and Jupiter in Gemini. And this is going to be more in a positive, so not very fear-based. So these analysis, Kṣaṇāti ji is going to be talking about how the therapeutic approach to Jyotish and how not to be in fear but really see the challenges and the positive side and finding ways to be dealing with it in a more positive way. So I'm very excited today, Kṣaṇāti ji.
Thank you, Navjeet. Yes, I'm so excited to be, first of all, getting into a bunch of transits. It's been a while, since we did the Saturn in Aquarius and we did Rahu Pisces, a Ketu Virgo, and Jupiter Taurus about 1 year ago, almost 2 years ago for some of them. And now we're at this beautiful time in consciousness where many of these planets are moving. Saturn just moved into Pisces. In about 6 weeks, the other three graha will move, Rahu, Ketu, Jupiter. And so these transits are going to be having a significant impact on the world. And we've been discussing this, and it's at the core of my heart that I want there to be a therapeutic approach to Jyotish. And this therapeutic approach to Jyotish is moving away from the predictive. We all understand the curse of Bhrigu, and we don't have to be superstitious to understand the curse of Bhrigu. We can understand it in a metaphoric or symbolic way, not in a fear-based way. But the understanding is that the great Rishi thought that he had this profound understanding where he could 100% accurately predict, both good and bad, what the planets would be doing. He could predict the death dates. He could predict the wealth creation. He could predict marriage to the exact day 100% of the time. And what happened is he received a curse of death from Lord Shiva due to this ego. Because
Mm.
they would be in the town square and the Rishi would go, "Well, why do you worship God? I'm the one who knows everything." This is symbolic of Satan. This is symbolic of what we understand in the Judeo-Christian as the devilish or Luciferian energy, that an individual has such a gross ego that he may know more than God. There is nothing more destructive, nothing darker. And unfortunately, what we're experiencing in the world is that Jyotish, so, you know, about 50 years ago, yoga had this boom into Western culture. About 20, 30 years ago, Ayurveda had this boom into Western culture. Now we're experiencing Jyotish and its boom into Western culture. I mean, when I started being a professional Jyotish 12 years ago, there were few and far between, right? There were not that many professional Jyotish. Now everyone and their aunt, cousin, grandmother, brother, and sister is a professional Jyotish. And with this influx of Jyotish, which is beautiful because Jyotish is a tool that needs to be utilized in our modern world. And it's a tool that Western society, that politicians can use, that businesses use, that everyone can use to help make the world and society a better place. Because through Jyotish, we understand karma and we can help each individual achieve the purusharthas of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Now, having said that, whenever there's a massive, flow of new astrologers, there's going to be uh, deep purification. There's going to be a pollution of them not understanding what Jyotish truly is the eyes of the Vedas, which is to provide light. And Jyotish, unfortunately, can be used as a tool to provide darkness, right? And it's not just now. but historically, I mean, even in India, I've heard, for a very long time that, you know, a doom and gloom predictive approach to Jyotish, which is someone is getting a client, the astrologer is saying, "Oh, well, if you don't get a puja that's going to cost you $3,000, you're probably going to get divorced and you're probably going to get cancer." Or, if you want to have a good relationship with your son and your son not to get sick, you need to pay for this puja. You need to buy this $50,000 gemstone. You need to get another reading with me because the only way to be doing that is that's the only way to help with the situation. So on one side of the spectrum, on the darkest side of the spectrum of Jyotish, you have doom and gloom predictive astrology with economic motivation. That is the darkest form of Jyotish that exists. And I think I've explained that. So then the question is, what's the opposite of this? What is the opposite approach to Jyotish of doom and gloom predictive monetary Jyotish? Well, then it has to be this therapeutic approach to Jyotish that I have been working on cultivating and I believe is going to be highly beneficial for the healthy integration of Jyotish into Western culture. So where the doom and gloom is, we replace that with understanding things from a spiritual evolutionary perspective. Because doom and gloom opposite doesn't mean everything is positive. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's not that we're saying everything that is positive and sugarcoating all these difficult karmas. But the doom and gloom that's presented from this predictive perspective is saying, okay, well, there's no cure for that other than puja, money, da 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 da. But the therapeutic approach to Jyotish says the cure is within ourselves. The cure is through our awareness. The cure is in working on our karmas. The cure is in seeking our God, is in seeking our higher power to relieve of us our suffering. So the opposite of this doom and gloom is not discussing negative karmas, but painting a positive light on them, which is saying, okay, Saturn is causing you this type of challenge, right? For example, which may make you impatient in this area. So instead of saying buy a blue sapphire and get a Shiva puja 10,000 dollars later, we're saying practice patience in this area. Surrender your will in this area. Turn it over to God in this area. So that is the replacing of the doom and gloom with the therapeutic. And it's not replacing negative with positive, but it's painting this therapeutic positive light on it. And again, just to comment on the curse of the Bhrigu and how the overemphasis of the overconfident astrologer who thinks he's 100% accurate in predictive astrology is evil and will die an early death. And we want astrologers, which are my colleagues, to live long, beautiful lives. So my astrology teacher, Mahadev, he's a disciple of Amma in New Mexico. And he used to tell me astrology is like baseball. Even 300 is a good batting average, which means 30% of the time you're accurate with your prediction. And the point is that you can be, according to the literature, up to 70% accurate. But the humble astrologer says 70%, that's even too high. I need to be closer to the 30 to 50% range. That's the humble predictive astrologer. So it's not as I get into these transits that I'm not going to be talking about predictions, but remaining humble with these predictions, taking them with a grain of salt. That is where healing energy is. Because both on the positive side of predictions, you could be wrong and you could disappoint the client. And both on the negative side of predictions, you could be wrong. Therefore, you're giving fear where it is unnecessary. So then what is the therapeutic approach? So as we get into Saturn, Pisces, Rahu, Ketu, Aquarius, Leo axis, especially these planets because they're malefic graha. They get a bad rap. So what therapeutic approach? How can we practice patience and virtue in certain areas with the Saturn transit? How can we practice non-attachment and relinquishment of our desire with the Ketu? How can we relinquish our thinking about the future and the hyper obsession with the Rahu? This is the therapeutic approach of Jyotish, which I'm so excited to focus on in these upcoming transits with you, Nav.
So much. And that's, you're right. Like you said, basically, it's about doing the inner work, making the changes within, and not just paying someone, and because that has to be coming from within. It can't be, I mean, or your connection to God, which you can do it yourself, you know, purely. So which I'm also really excited, especially you're gonna go through all the nakshatras. So I'm super
Yes.
excited for that. Yeah, and this was the introductory video, and we're gonna come back with our transit analysis through nakshatras for these signs. So I'm really excited for that. Thank you.
I can't wait, Nav. Our next time we'll be discussing Saturn in Pisces for all 12 Lugnesh with the nakshatra emphasis. So this will be exciting.
Yeah, it's such a treat, Kṣaṇāti, and that's really, we're really grateful that you're giving this time and energy, and this is great service to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Navjeet. Looking forward.
Namaste.
Namaste.